It was a quiet Tuesday morning at the Deep Space Monitoring Station in Nevada when everything changed. Tom Baker sat at his desk, sipping his third cup of coffee, watching the usual patterns of cosmic radiation scroll across his screen. The night shift had been boring, just like every other night for the past 5 years. But at 3:47 a.m., his computer began to beep. At first, he thought it was just another solar flare or a passing comet. These things happened all the time, but this signal was different. It wasn't random static or natural space noise. It had a pattern. A very clear, very deliberate pattern. "Hey, Mike." Tom called out to his supervisor, who was doing his usual early morning rounds. "You might want to take a look at this." Mike Wilson, the station chief for 15 years, walked over slowly. He'd heard excited calls like this hundreds of times before, and they usually turned out to be nothing. But when he saw the pattern on Tom's screen, his coffee cup slipped from his hand and crashed to the floor. "Get the director on the phone," Mike ordered, his voice suddenly tense. Now, within an hour, the quiet monitoring station had transformed into a hub of activity. Scientists and military personnel rushed in and out of the control room. The signal was coming from just beyond Pluto's orbit, and it was unlike anything they had ever seen before. Director Anna White stood in front of the main screen, her face illuminated by the pulsing patterns of the alien message. After 30 years in space communication, she knew this was the moment everything would change. The translation computers had been working nonstop for the past hour, and finally, they were beginning to make sense of it. "It's a distress call," she announced to the room full of anxious faces. But not just any distress call. It's from something calling itself the Galactic Council's diplomatic fleet. The room fell silent. Until this moment, humanity had only dreamed of alien life. Now, not only were they real, but they needed help. The message continued to unfold on the screens. The alien fleet, consisting of 12 massive ships, had encountered what they called a quantum anomaly. Their advanced drive systems had failed completely, leaving them stranded in space. Worse still, their long-range scanners had detected an approaching solar storm, one powerful enough to destroy their disabled ships. "They're asking for help," Anna explained, her voice filled with disbelief. "These aliens, with technology far beyond ours, are asking us for help." The initial excitement in the room quickly turned to confusion. How could humanity, with their primitive technology, possibly help beings advanced enough to travel between stars? The aliens' message made it clear they had no choice. Every other advanced civilization was too far away to reach them in time. As the morning sun rose over the Nevada desert, emergency meetings were being called in every major space agency around the world. The alien fleet had only 72 hours before the solar storm would reach them. Humanity faced its first test as a spacefaring civilization, and failure meant watching 12 ships full of alien diplomats die on their doorstep. Dr. James Cooper, Earth's leading expert in space rescue operations, studied the data streaming in from the alien ships. Their technology was incredible. Quantum drives, gravity manipulation, energy shields that could bend light itself. But now, all those advanced systems were useless, knocked out by whatever anomaly they had encountered. "Sometimes," he muttered, looking at the simple chemical rockets Earth used for space travel, "the oldest solutions are the best ones." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Space agencies worldwide began mobilizing their resources. Rescue plans were drawn up and discarded. Arguments broke out between experts about what was even possible. But one thing became clear: humanity's outdated technology might be their greatest advantage. As the sun set on that first day, Director White made the call that would begin humanity's greatest adventure. Earth would attempt a rescue mission using technology that the aliens had considered obsolete for centuries. Whether they succeeded or failed, the human race was about to prove its worth to the galaxy. The clock was ticking, and 72 hours had never seemed so short. The main conference room at NASA's Houston Center was packed with the world's top scientists and engineers. Screens on the walls showed worried faces from space agencies across the globe. They had spent the last 6 hours discussing the alien fleet's situation, and time was running out. Their quantum drives are completely dead, Dr. Emma Phillips explained, pointing to the technical data the aliens had sent. And their backup systems are so advanced that they can't even function without the main quantum core. It's like having a car that won't even roll without its computer working. The room buzzed with frustrated conversations. The aliens had technology that could bend space itself, but now they were floating helplessly in space. Their ships couldn't even turn on their basic life support without their quantum systems. Then Tom Miller, an old engineer who had worked on space shuttles since the 1990s, stood up. He had been quiet throughout the meeting, drawing on a notepad while others argued. "We're thinking about this all wrong," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. "We don't need to match their technology. We need to use what we know works." He walked to the main screen and pulled up designs for Earth's cargo ships. Big, simple vessels that used chemical rockets and basic electromagnetic shielding. "Our ships are simple. They're not pretty. They're not fast. But they work," Tom explained. "And most importantly, they don't need quantum anything to function." The room grew quiet as understanding spread across faces. Dr. Phillips stepped forward, her eyes wide with realization. "The solar storm that's coming," she said, "our ships can handle it. We've been dealing with solar radiation since we first went to space. Our electromagnetic shields aren't fancy, but they're strong." The next hour was a flurry of calculations and plans. Earth's cargo ships could reach the alien fleet in time, but they would need modifications. The aliens had sent more data about their ships. Each one was massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built. "We can't move them with our engines," Tom admitted, "but we don't need to. We just need to protect them from the solar storm until their systems can restart." Captain Mike Thompson, who had led 3 deep space rescue missions, studied the plans. "We'll need at least 3 ships. 1 to coordinate, 2 to set up the electromagnetic shield network. It's never been done at this scale, but the math checks out." The aliens' response to the rescue plan was less than enthusiastic. Their messages showed clear doubt about trusting their safety to what they called primitive combustion vessels. But they had no choice. The solar storm would reach them in 65 hours, and Earth's ships were their only hope. Tom looked at the simple chemical rockets being prepared at the launch site. They weren't beautiful like the alien ships. They were rough, covered in heat shields and basic metal. But they were reliable. They would work even if every computer on board failed. "Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one," he said to no one in particular. The world watched as rescue crews were assembled. 3 ships would launch from Earth's moon base, where they had been stationed for emergency missions. The crews were picked for their experience with deep space operations and their ability to work under pressure. Captain Thompson would lead the mission from the main ship. His team had only basic tools, wrenches, cables, and electromagnetic generators that would have made the aliens laugh if they weren't so desperate. As the crews prepared for launch, a final message came from the alien fleet. Their sensors showed the solar storm was moving faster than expected. They now had only 60 hours until impact. "Well," Captain Thompson said to his crew as they boarded their ships, "I guess we'll have to work fast." The rescue mission was about to begin, and humanity was about to show the galaxy that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. Simple technology, human ingenuity, and the determination to help others would prove more valuable than all the quantum drives in the universe. The moon base buzzed with activity like never before. In the main hangar, 3 cargo ships stood tall under the bright lights. Engineers crawled over them like ants, adding extra shielding and checking every bolt and wire. They had less than 12 hours until launch. Captain Thompson walked through the organized chaos, checking on his crews. He stopped at the first ship, named Hope, where Tom Miller was installing the main electromagnetic shield generator. "How's it looking, Tom?" Thompson asked, watching the old engineer work with tools that would have been familiar to mechanics from 50 years ago. "Simple and strong," Tom replied, tightening a large bolt with a wrench. "No computers controlling this part. Just pure electromagnetic force. If it breaks, we can fix it with a wrench and some wire." The second ship, Spirit, was being loaded with spare parts and basic repair equipment. Kate Wilson, their science officer, was arguing with an assistant about what tools to bring. "No, we need more basic tools," she insisted. "Forget the quantum scanners. Pack more wrenches, cables, and manual repair kits. The aliens won't have anything this simple on their ships." The third ship, Endurance, would be Thompson's command vessel. James Rodriguez, his first officer, was checking the communication systems. They had set up a simple radio backup in case their main systems failed. It wasn't fancy, but radio waves had been working for over 100 years. A screen in the hangar showed the latest message from the alien fleet. Their ships were getting worried. The quantum anomaly was still affecting their systems, and the solar storm was growing stronger. They kept asking about the humans' primitive rescue plan, clearly doubting it would work. Thompson gathered his crews for a final briefing in the hangar. 50 men and women, the best Earth had to offer, stood before him. They weren't wearing fancy space suits with quantum technology. Their suits were bulky, tough, and proven to work in the harshest conditions. "This won't be like any rescue mission we've done before," Thompson said, his voice echoing in the large space. "We're about to meet beings who can travel between stars. But right now, they need our help. Not because we're advanced, but because we know how to work with our hands and solve problems the old way." He pointed to the tools and equipment being loaded. "Everything we're bringing has been tested and proven for decades. We know how to fix it when it breaks. We know how it works without needing computers to tell us. That's our strength." The crews nodded. They understood. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. In the control room, Director White watched the final preparations. The aliens had sent more data about their ships, and the images were incredible. Each alien vessel was like a small city, full of technology that seemed like magic. But now they floated helpless in space, all their advanced systems silent. "Launch in 3 hours," the announcement echoed through the base. The crews did their final checks. Every wire was tested, every bolt tightened, every backup system verified. They couldn't afford mistakes. Thompson made one final round of his ships. In the cargo holds, he saw simple electromagnetic generators, basic repair tools, and spare parts that any mechanic would recognize. They had even packed old-style paper manuals in case their tablets failed. "Captain," Kate called out, holding up a simple magnetic compass. "Look what I found in storage. It doesn't need power, just Earth's magnetic field." Thompson smiled. "Pack it. Out there, the simplest tool might save lives." As the launch time approached, the crews took their positions. The huge hangar doors opened slowly, revealing the star-filled sky above. Earth hung like a blue jewel in the distance. "All crews, report in," Thompson called from his command chair. One by one, the ships reported ready. No quantum drives, no fancy AI systems, just solid engineering and determined humans ready to prove that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. The countdown began. In minutes, they would launch toward the stranded alien fleet. It would be humanity's first meeting with alien life, and they were going to do it their way, with wrenches in hand and determination in their hearts. The 3 human ships pushed through space, their chemical engines burning bright against the darkness. They had left Earth's moon 6 hours ago, and now they faced their first major challenge: a dense field of space debris that the alien ships would have simply phased through. "All ships, reduce speed," Captain Thompson ordered from the Endurance. "We do this the careful way." On the Spirit, Kate Wilson watched her radar screen carefully. The debris field stretched for thousands of kilometers. Chunks of rock and ice, some as small as a penny, others as large as a car, filled the space ahead of them. In the old days, Tom Miller's voice crackled over the radio. We used to call this threading the needle. Good thing we brought ships that can actually turn and dodge. The three ships moved slowly through the field, their pilots making constant small adjustments. Unlike the alien ships with their fancy quantum drives, the human vessels had to physically move around each obstacle. It was slow, but it worked. Contact from the alien fleet, James Rodriguez reported. They're surprised we're still coming. They thought the debris field would force us to turn back. Thompson smiled. Tell them this is just a normal Tuesday for us. 4 hours later, they faced their second challenge. A wave of radiation from the approaching solar storm washed over them. Warning alarms beeped throughout all three ships. Electromagnetic shields holding steady, Tom reported from the Hope. Simple physics. The radiation hits the shield pushes back. No quantum mechanics needed. The journey continued. The crews worked in shifts, constantly checking their equipment. When a power relay burned out on the Spirit, they fixed it with spare parts and basic tools. When ice built up on the Hope's sensors, they used heating elements that would have been familiar to engineers from decades ago. Another message from the aliens, James called out. They're tracking our progress. They can't believe we're using chemical rockets and basic shields too. Their words here, punch through space. The crews had been awake for nearly 20 hours, running on coffee and determination. They were now halfway to the alien fleet, but the solar storm was growing stronger. The space around them crackled with energy. All ships, status report, Thompson called. Hope is steady, Tom responded. Our old girl's doing fine. Spirit maintaining course, Kate added. Though I think we'd gone through a year's worth of coffee already. The ships pressed on. Their hulls creaked under the strain, but they held together. Every bolt, every weld, every simple piece of engineering did its job. No quantum physics, no space-bending technology, just solid metal and human determination. 18 hours into the journey, they hit the worst part. The radiation from the approaching storm had created a kind of electromagnetic turbulence. The ships shook violently. Increasing power to stabilizers, Tom called out. Good thing these ships were built to take a beating. In the command chair of the Endurance, Thompson watched his crew work. They hadn't slept, barely ate, but nobody complained. Every problem that came up, they solved with tools and skills that humans had been using for generations. Captain, James called out suddenly. I'm picking up something big on the long-range scanners. Thompson looked at his screen. There, still several hours away but visible now, was the alien fleet. 12 massive ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built, floating helplessly in space. All crews, this is the captain, Thompson announced. We've got visual contact with the alien fleet. This is what we came for. This is humanity's first meeting with alien life, and we're going to do it our way, by helping them when they need it most. The three human ships, small but sturdy, continued their approach. They had traveled through debris fields, radiation storms, and space turbulence. They had fixed problems with wrenches and wire, navigated with backup systems, and kept going when fancy technology would have failed. Now, just hours away from their goal, they were about to prove that sometimes the most reliable solution was also the simplest one. The alien ships were enormous. As the three human vessels approached, everyone stared in amazement through their viewports. Each alien ship was like a floating city, with smooth silver surfaces that seemed to glow even without power. Hope to Endurance. Tom's voice crackled over the radio. I'm getting some strange readings. Their ships are completely dead. Not even basic systems are running. Captain Thompson studied the readings from his command chair. The alien ships were designed to work as one connected system. When their quantum core failed, everything went dark, from their engines to their door controls. This is Captain Thompson of the Earth Rescue Fleet. He broadcast to the alien ships. We're approaching your position. Please respond on any frequency. A few moments later, a weak signal came through. The alien voice sounded tired and confused. "Earth vessels, we hear you. We're operating on emergency power cells. Most of our systems are. We can't even open our own doors without quantum power." Kate's voice came over the radio from the Spirit. "Captain, I think I understand the problem. Their ships are too advanced. They don't have any manual controls or basic mechanical systems. Everything depends on their quantum technology." Thompson looked at the simple control panel in front of him, with its basic switches and backup manual controls. Sometimes being less advanced had its advantages. "All ships, prepare for rescue operations," Thompson ordered. "We're going to have to teach them how to do things the old way." The 3 human ships moved carefully around the alien fleet. They were like small tugboats next to massive ocean liners. Tom directed the Hope to the nearest alien ship, preparing to set up their electromagnetic shield network. "We need to board their ships," Kate reported. "Their airlocks won't open automatically. We'll have to use our basic tools to get inside." Thompson made a decision. "Tom, start setting up the shield network. Kate, your team will board the first ship. James, coordinate from here. Let's show them how humans solve problems." Kate and her team approached the alien ship's airlock in their bulky spacesuits. The aliens had sent them instructions, but they were useless, all about quantum commands and AI interfaces. Instead, Kate pulled out a simple mechanical toolkit. "Look at this," she said to her team, pointing at the airlock's frame. "Under all that fancy technology, it's still just a door. And doors can be opened." Working with basic tools, they managed to engage the manual release system that the aliens didn't even know existed in their own ships. The airlock opened with a hiss of air. Inside, they found the alien crew struggling with their dead technology. The aliens were tall, elegant beings who looked startled at the sight of humans in their primitive spacesuits. How did you open the door?" one of them asked. "Our quantum interface is dead." Kate held up a wrench. "Sometimes the simplest tools are the best tools. Now let's get your ship working again, the basic way." Over the next few hours, the human team spread through the alien fleet. They taught the aliens how to operate mechanical backup systems they never knew they had. They set up simple radio communications when the quantum networks failed. They even showed them how to read basic pressure gauges and temperature monitors without computers. "I don't understand," an alien engineer said, watching Tom set up an electromagnetic shield generator. "Your technology is so basic, but it works." "That's exactly why it works," Tom replied, tightening a bolt. "No fancy computers to break down. Just good, solid engineering." In the Endurance's command center, Thompson received reports from his teams. The aliens were learning quickly, though they seemed amazed by every simple solution the humans showed them. "Captain," James called out, "the alien council leader wants to speak with you." On the screen, an elegant alien figure appeared. Its expression was hard to read, but its voice carried clear respect. "Captain Thompson, we owed you an apology. We thought your species was too primitive to help us. We were wrong. Your simple solutions are saving our lives." Thompson smiled. "Sometimes the best technology isn't the newest or most advanced. It's the technology you can count on when everything else fails." The solar storm was still approaching, but now they had a chance. Humanity had proved that being less advanced didn't mean being less capable. Sometimes it meant being exactly what was needed. Time was running out. The massive solar storm filled the space around them with deadly radiation. Captain Thompson watched from the Endurance as his crews raced to protect the alien fleet. "Shield network is at 60%. Tom reported from the Hope. He and his team had been working nonstop, setting up electromagnetic shield generators around the alien ships. "We need another hour to complete the coverage." "We don't have an hour," James said, checking his instruments. "Storm will hit in 40 minutes at full strength." Thompson made a quick decision. "Kate, how are the aliens doing with the manual systems?" "Better than expected," she replied from inside one of the alien ships. "They're quick learners. We've got basic power running on 8 ships now." All mechanical, no quantum systems needed. The space around them crackled with energy. The storm was getting stronger, sending waves of radiation that made their instruments spike. The human ship's shields glowed blue as they deflected the deadly energy. "All ships, new plan," Thompson announced. "We don't have time to finish the shield network. We're going to use our ships as shield points. Tom, bring the Hope to the front of the fleet. Spirit will take the right side, Endurance the left." It was a risky move. The 3 human ships would have to use their shields to protect not just themselves, but the massive alien vessels behind them. Their simple electromagnetic generators would be pushed to their limits. "Captain," the alien council leader called urgently, "your ships are too small. The radiation will overwhelm your shields." "Size isn't everything," Thompson replied. "Tom, start channeling power from the alien ships into our shield generators. They may not have quantum drives, but they still have basic electricity." The human crews moved fast, connecting their ships to the alien vessels with heavy cables. It wasn't pretty. Thick black cables stretched between the sleek alien ships and the bulky human vessels. But it worked. "Power flow stable," Tom reported. "Shields at maximum strength. It's not elegant, but it'll hold." The first wave of the storm hit them. The shields lit up bright blue, straining against the radiation. Inside the human ships, equipment groaned under the pressure. Warning alarms beeped as systems were pushed past their designed limits. "Hull temperature rising," James reported. "But the shields are holding. Basic physics for the win." Kate and her team had taught the aliens how to monitor their ships without computers. All across the fleet, alien crews watched simple pressure gauges and temperature meters, reporting problems before they became serious. "Keep those power levels steady," Thompson ordered as another wave hit them. "Just like a thunderstorm back home. We just need to weather it out." The next 30 minutes were intense. The human ships shook as they protected the alien fleet. Emergency repairs were made with basic tools. When a shield generator started to fail, they fixed it with spare parts and quick thinking. "Storm reaching peak intensity," James called out. The space around them was like an ocean in a hurricane, waves of energy crashing against their shields. Tom's voice came through, steady despite the chaos. "Shields holding at 80%. Not pretty, but effective. Kind of like us." Inside the alien ships, the foreign crews watched in amazement. The humans had taken their dead ships, restored basic power using simple mechanics, and now protected them with technology that the aliens had considered obsolete centuries ago. "Energy spike incoming," James shouted. "Biggest one yet." Thompson gripped his chair as the wave hit them. The shields flared brilliantly, 3 points of bright blue light protecting the stranded fleet. Alarms blared, metal creaked. But they held. "Status report," Thompson called out when the wave passed. "Hope is battered but functioning," Tom replied. "Spirit's shields at 60% but stable," Kate added. "Alien fleet reports all ships intact," James said. "Captain, the storm is passing. We did it." As the radiation levels began to drop, Thompson looked out at the alien fleet they had saved. The massive ships were still dead in space, their quantum drives silent, but they were safe, protected by human ingenuity and determination. The alien council leader's voice came through, filled with new respect. "Captain Thompson, your species has taught us a valuable lesson today. The most advanced solution is not always the best solution." Thompson smiled, watching his crews already starting repairs with their simple tools. "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Now let's see about getting your ships running again, the human way." 2 days after the storm passed, the alien fleet was slowly coming back to life. Not with their quantum technology, but with simple systems the humans had helped them install. In the main hall of the largest alien ship, Captain Thompson stood before the Galactic Council, his crew beside him. "What your species has done here is remarkable," the council leader said, looking down at the humans from a tall silver chair. "You saved not just our ships, but our entire perspective on technology. Tom stood near a newly installed control panel, showing a young alien engineer how to read basic mechanical gauges. See, no computer needed. If the needle goes into the red, you have a problem. Simple. The alien nodded, fascinated by the straightforward approach. All around the hall, similar scenes played out. Human crew members taught alien engineers about backup systems, manual controls, and the importance of understanding basic mechanics. We had forgotten something important. Another council member spoke up. In our rush to advance, we made ourselves dependent on our most complex systems. You humans kept the simple solutions alongside your advanced ones. Kate stepped forward, holding up her tablet. We've prepared guides for your engineers. Basic mechanics, manual systems, emergency procedures. Everything we use to save your ships. It's not fancy, but it works. The council members looked at each other, then made a decision that would change humanity's place in the galaxy. Captain Thompson, the council leader, announced, "We would like to offer Earth a special position in the Galactic Council. Not because of your technology level, but because of your unique approach to problem solving." Thompson raised an eyebrow. "What kind of position?" "We want humanity to be our experts in crisis management and practical solutions. Your species has shown us that sometimes the old ways are the most reliable ways." James smiled at this. He was working with alien communications officers, showing them how to set up basic radio systems as backups for their quantum networks. All across our galaxy, the council leader continued, "We have ships and colonies that rely entirely on advanced technology. We need your people to help us create backup systems, to teach us how to solve problems when fancy technology fails." Thompson looked at his crew. They had done something no one expected. They hadn't impressed the aliens with advanced technology. They had shown them the value of keeping things simple. "We accept," Thompson said, "on one condition. We teach, but we also learn. Our simple solutions combined with your advanced technology, both working together." The council agreed. As if to prove the point, at that moment, the quantum core of the alien flagship began to power up. The advanced systems came back online, but now they had something new. Basic backup systems that could keep the ships running even if everything else failed. "Look at that," Tom said, watching the quantum systems restart. "New technology and old technology working together. That's the way forward." The alien engineers were already adapting human ideas to their ships. They installed manual overrides, backup systems, and simple tools that didn't need quantum power to work. They learned to use wrenches alongside their advanced tools, understanding that both had their place. "You know what this means?" Kate said to her team. "Every alien ship in the galaxy is going to need retrofitting. We're going to be busy for a long time." The council presented Thompson and his crew with medals, simple metal discs that didn't glow or float or do anything fancy. Somehow, that seemed perfect. As the human ships prepared to escort the alien fleet back to Earth, Thompson stood in his command room one last time. The alien ships now had both quantum drives and chemical rockets, advanced AI, and simple manual controls, fancy sensors, and basic gauges. "Humanity's first contact with alien life," he said to his crew, "and we impressed them by keeping it simple. I think we're going to do just fine out there in the galaxy." The journey home began, with human and alien ships flying together. They had all learned an important lesson. True advancement didn't mean abandoning the simple solutions that worked. It meant knowing when to use the right tool for the job, whether that tool was a quantum computer or just a good old-fashioned wrench.